king there, right? That, as you said, was the key to not having any checks. We always say the knight is the best defender, right, around the king, and that was one of those moments where the queen just felt helpless. She couldn't get enough counterplay.
Man, I hate to say the word. In Russian, that word is усыновление. You know, it starts with an A and ends with an option. Yep.
How many games has he won?
6, I think, because the final game of the 5-minute portion was drawn, but 6 in a row against Wesley. So are you kidding me?
Fun fact, the person who holds the record for the most adoptions on chess.com is Hikaru Nakamura with 524 total adoptions of other human chess players.
That's a lot of kids, man.
This includes 67. This includes 67 double adoptions, which, depending on the state you're in, can be really complicated in the court. But 67 double adoptions and 1 adoption over yours truly, Daniel Wrench.
Man, speaking of the
I bet you didn't know I would have some adoption stats ready for today.
That was nifty. You brought that out at exactly the right moment. But the problem is that we talk about it, and first of all, none of this is intended to make, and I think you'll co-sign me on this, Danny. We feel for Wesley. This is a very tough situation to be in. It's not like an open tournament where you lose a couple of games and you drop down to face a weaker opponent. It's like you drop down to face Magnus Carlsen, and then you lose, and you drop down to face Magnus Carlsen, and then you face Magnus Carlsen. And this Magnus Carlsen becomes stronger and stronger with every victory. Right. So it's like, you know, a big boss that just grows more evil with every passing game. But all hats off to Magnus. This guy is insane.
Yep. No, obviously. I mean, at this point, we're having fun. Wesley knows. Wesley is an amazing chess player with an incredible career who has beaten Magnus in some very big moments, but today is not his day, and no one's going to hold that against him. But it is impressive when you see someone like Carlsen do what he's doing, because regardless of Wesley not being on form, it takes super Saiyan form, right? Over 9,000 to have the focus, Danya, to beat Wesley 6 times in a row. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's next level stuff, and that's all we're trying to. I get what you're saying. You get what I'm saying? Because it's super. Because if you listen to what I'm saying, it's super. It might even be over 9,000 words before I really drive this awkward moment home.
Hey, as the old saying goes, Magnus Carlsen is an impressive chess player, and he will start to squeeze this position with black. I actually think Wesley was better out of the gates, but now that Magnus has established this knight on c5 and fixed the queenside pawn structure to his favor, I think Wesley's best bet is to prepare g4, put a rook on h1, and try to smash through the kingside with your pawns.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying it for years that if you have an opportunity to pry open your opponent's king, you do it, find the lever, open up the files where more infantry can enter.
Well, rook d1, Wesley playing on all sides of the board and attacking d6 and trying to meet rook d7, I think, with bishop c6. And suddenly that pawn doesn't feel quite as well protected as it did just a couple of moves ago. I think Magnus is best advised just to jettison it and say, you can take the pawn, but you're going to have to allow the queen trade, and that's going to take the heat off of the king side.
Yeah. He does. He does choose to jettison the pawn, and endgame is not the worst thing for black because the knight is super well placed here. It hits b3. The pawns on dark squares are hard for the bishop to gang up on. So kind of as Danya said, letting go of the pawn, even if white's doing okay, black is actually, you know, this position actually probably still is a 3-result game in many ways.
Totally, especially given what we've seen in previous endgames. I mean, how many games just in this match, Danny, have we seen that started off seemingly as 2-result games? We had that Caro-Kann game, we had games in the early part of the match, and then suddenly in the blink of an eye, bang, Magnus is in charge, he's playing for the win, and then bang, you make one mistake and the game is over.
Yep. And it's funny because, again, Wesley won the pawn, but black's position has more to improve. I mean, you bring the king out, which he already started. You're going to put the king here. Maybe you can trade rooks, and if everybody comes off the d-file, the b3 pawn hangs in the end. So this is tricky. I guess that's the point.
It's a Pyrrhic victory for Wesley because as a result of his excellent play, he's won the d6 pawn. He's checked the box. He's won the war, but Magnus has won the peace. And not literally, but figuratively. And he might win a piece if that rook on c6 doesn't get out of the gates here. Draw is the likeliest result because neither side can make easy progress. But that's going to milk more time off the match clock. And Wesley, you can just sense the frustration all the way across the ocean.
Well, he plays king e7. Will he try to trap that rook or trade that rook? Because you can kind of sit tight, but I don't know that there's really more ways to get at the rook. You lack squares like a6 because of the bishop. So I don't know exactly how you really get at this rook. And at some point, you might just want to simplify the position. Or just shuffle, right? Little shuffle puck.
Do you think Magnus is actively thinking about adoption? Is he going to go for the win here and burn some bridges just because he doesn't want to allow a draw? I don't think so. Where do you stand on that question, Danny?
Again, to clarify for the viewers, if you get a single draw, the adoption papers are denied. It has to be 10 wins in a row. So I think that Magnus will play ruthless chess as long as he can do it with a reasonable amount of risk. And I think from that perspective, Magnus likes his chances in mutual time pressure. We've said before that the knight is often trickier than the bishop, and therefore your opponent can often blunder into a fork. And so I'm kind of dodging the question. I don't know that Magnus is thinking about the adoption, but I don't think he's not thinking about it.
And he's thinking about it with those 20 seconds that he spent, and he's going for it. He's going for the win here, and it's the best feeling in the world. You're up double digits. So, I mean, yeah, you lose the game. Worst comes to worst. It's not an issue, and that's what makes Magnus so scary. Now he's going to take even more risk than he usually would, and I think he's getting rewarded for it. Suddenly, he's got the initiative, and a bunch of forks are being threatened. Piggy's on the 7th, anybody?
Yeah. I was going to say, objectively, I don't really know that I disagree with it, regardless of the motives. I mean, you have an opportunity to keep pushing, and here comes some tricks.
And here comes the knight. Back to F5 it goes. Back to F5 it goes. And he's going to have mate threats.
With check. Yeah, you tuck the king on H6. You're threatening rook D4 and rook takes F2. All kinds of stuff.
Ooh, rook D7, though.
No, but sorry. I think if white can... he doesn't go. Oh, he just blundered the bishop.
But it's still a game. Danny, it's still a game. Rook A8. Oh, man, but he's losing the thread here. Rook A8 and keep chasing the knight. I think he can force repetition. King F6, and he's got a mate thread of his own.
He's mating him on H8.
C5. No. Oh, he blundered mate. Rook F7.
Rook F7.
And Rook F5 was mate, but he wins the game anyway.
Oh, my God. Magnus missed mate and won. But he's
still winning
rook anyway.
Oh, no, he wins another one. What do I have to do to even draw this guy?